Studio. We appreciate you joining us today. We welcome to the program Tanner Newman. He's a candidate for the Northern District Public Service Commissioner office. Hey, Tanner, how's it going today?
Gerard, good morning. It's great. Thanks for having me on this morning. We are joining you from Tupelo. We just wrapped up our final campaign stop in Tupelo and headed straight over to join you. So thanks for having us. Looking forward to the visit.
You bet. So tell us a little bit, Tanner, about your background and what was your motivation to jump in this race for Northern District Public Service Commissioner?
Absolutely. Well, Gerard, look, I was born in Tupelo, raised in rural Etowah and Lee counties, and grew up kind of helping good people get elected to office. Frankly, never thought that I would be a candidate myself, but I realized back in January when Commissioner Presley announced his run for governor that, I've spent my adult life working to solve the problems facing North Mississippians. First as a constituent liaison with the U.S. Senate, where I fought the bureaucratic red tape to provide our veterans and educators with the resources that are available to address their needs. And then as the Director of Development Services for the City of Tupelo, where we, over the last 2 years, have reformed the city's building regulatory department, making municipal services more accessible and more efficient for the people of Tupelo. And so when Commissioner Presley announced his run for governor, I realized that this was an opportunity to take the work that I've spent my life doing here in Tupelo in Northeast Mississippi, and as a way to address the problems facing all of North Mississippi. Personally, I believe the Public Service Commissioner's role outside of its statutory, regulatory authority, the role is to be an advocate for the people. And I am asking the people of North Mississippi to be their advocate.
Are there any particular challenges, Tanner, that you see presently or on the horizon that you would address as a Public Service Commissioner?
Absolutely, Gerard. Look, over the last 6.5 months, I have traveled the 33 counties in North Mississippi, and the reality is each county, each town, municipality, we all have issues that are specific to our unique situations, such as you take Holly Springs, for instance, and the municipally owned electric department and the issues we're seeing there. You take Pontotoc County, for instance, you have an entire neighborhood who does not live within a certificated water district. And so they don't have access to running water. These issues are real, and they are going to take working together to solve these problems. And it's going to take the commission working with the legislature, state legislature, and the federal delegation to finally solve some of these haunting issues that average northern Mississippians are facing. I have spent my adult life working with the legislatures, building the relationships with them, and I will take those relationships to the Public Service Commission to address the needs of North Mississippi.
Okay. Now you've got one opponent, right, in the primary. Is that right?
That's right. Gerard, this race is kind of unique when you think about it. You've got an open seat in a 33 county district, and there's only two candidates, both candidates in the Republican primary. This race will be over Tuesday night. So for the first time in history, a Republican will represent North Mississippi on the Public Service Commission.
Mm-hmm. How would you, Tanner, distinguish yourself from your opponent? What are the key differences there?
I'll tell you, I've known my opponent practically all my life, and we've worked together on a lot of things, and worked together on campaigns to get our friends elected. I entered this race in late January. Of course, my opponent came along after the fact, but I respected the fact that he and I discussed it before he qualified. He reached out, discussed kind of his where he was with retiring from the House, and shared with me his considerations on potentially running. And I told him, I said, Chris, hey, I've already made my mind up. I'm in. I'm in it to win it, and I'll respect whatever decision that you make. Over the last 6 months, this race has remained clean. When I entered the race, I said, we're in this to win it, and we're going to run a clean, positive campaign. And I can sit here today and tell you that I have maintained that promise. And at the end of the day, it's about getting things done. And if you want me to specifically say what is the main difference between my opponent and myself, I would say I have a history, a clear record of working together with everyone involved. Specifically, take for instance my role with the city of Tupelo. We have worked with the county, the state delegation, and the federal delegation to address some major issues over the last 2 years, and finally solved some of the major problems that were facing Tupelo for decades. That is the leadership I will take the Public Service Commission. I often say on the trail, you can't be against everything. You've got to be for something. And I am for North Mississippi, and I'm for working with everyone involved to solve the problems facing North Mississippi.
Gotcha. So how's the campaign been going? You've been getting around the district, meeting with folks. What are they telling you?
Absolutely, Gerard. Look, this race, I believe, kind of flown under the radar for a lot of people, especially when you look at Lieutenant Governor's race and how that's kind of, I guess, outshined everyone else. But I'll tell you, I've been traveling across North Mississippi now for 6.5 months. Took a leave of absence from the city of Tupelo back the 1st of May to solely campaign. And so I'll say I would not have done that. I would not have gone 3 months without a paycheck if I was not in it to win it and was not willing to put in the work to be successful on Tuesday night. Look, we have been very fortunate. Our campaign has received the endorsement of the Mississippi Realtors Association, the Mississippi Automobile Dealers Association, and the Mississippi Home Builders Association. And of course, numerous mayors and legislators throughout the state. This race, you can't do it alone. And we've been very fortunate to build a strong coalition of hardworking Mississippians across these 33 counties. And we are cautiously optimistic entering into the election on Tuesday.
So, having worked at the city of Tupelo, Tanner, what about the mayor, Todd Jordan? Has he indicated that he supports you?
Well, I'll tell you, I ran Mayor Jordan's campaign when he ran for mayor back in 2021. He certainly had my support, and he has been very clear that I have his support. Actually, I believe he was my first endorsement back in January in the Daily Journal. So, yes, the mayor's been very supportive and certainly very appreciative of that support. Not only the mayor, but the city council. I mean, for them to, encourage me to seek this office and their support throughout the last 6.5 months, and for them to allow me to temporarily step away to pursue this journey, that means a lot. And I've been very fortunate to have their unanimous support.
Tanner, do you feel like your experience working there at the city positions you better for this job as PSC commissioner than Representative Brown's, having served in the state House of Representatives? Is there something that maybe is giving you better insight into the job role itself?
Frankly, yes, I do. Over the last several years in my role with the city of Tupelo, ran the city's building regulatory department and frankly overhauled the department. Having worked in municipal government and having worked with the water and light department for the city of Tupelo, I have a unique understanding of how these things operate and, the logistics behind why the Public Service Commission does not have authority over municipally owned utilities. And we could go into a whole conversation about that. We're operating on outdated laws and regulations, and frankly, it's time for an overhaul of how we regulate utilities in the state. I have been calling for that for 6 months now, and I will continue to call for that as a member of the Public Service Commission. And I'll tell you, Gerard, I won't sit here today and pretend to have all the solutions, but before you can implement a solution, you've got to acknowledge the problem. And
Gotcha.
it's time that we step up and acknowledge that we need broad reform.
Gotcha. Tanner, appreciate you coming on today and talking about your campaign. Good luck to you next Tuesday.
Gerard, appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You got it. Yes, sir. Tanner Newman, candidate for Northern District Public Service Commissioner, coming